Hello, Slayers. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to Sandra's Stenography and Shorthand Dictation. I welcome each and every one of you, and I thank you so much for coming. And humbly, I come to you with more dictation and more practice because practice makes perfect. Right? Right. So here we are, Steno Slayers, and all of my court reporters, aspiring court reporters, coming back to the field, court reporters, or anyone that's just loves stenography and all of this good stuff here. Thank you so much for coming again. So here we are, guys, back with another video and back with, of course, as you can tell by the title, Jeffrey Macdonald. That's right. So we're still continuing on with this same dictation that we have here with Jeffrey Macdonald. We're at, of course, you guys already know who's been following the series. If you have not been following the series, please go to the playlist, Q&A playlist, and you'll find all of the Jeffrey Macdonald videos that I have done. And we are now on video number 17. Moving right along here. Yes, we are. And I love it. Hope you guys like it too. If you do, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, of course, if you want to see more videos like this. Also, hit the bell for notifications so you'll know when I actually upload these videos. I do them and then I upload them. I do the editing and then I upload them. And the only way you'll know that first is to hit the bell for notifications. So I do have a lot of people that as soon as I upload a video, they're all on it. They're on it like white on rice because they have the bell note. They've hit the bell for notifications, and so they know that, hey, Sandra has just put out a new video. I'm on it. Also, don't forget to share and also leave me comments. I love your comments and I need your engagement to keep the channel up in the algorithm and to make it move more up in the algorithm. So because this is a small niche channel, so I need all the help I can get over here, guys. Also, you can see by the ticker tonight that we have, well, it's actually daytime. Imagine that. I'm doing a video in the daytime. We also have my email address for anyone that needs to contact me about whatever, sponsorships, all that good stuff. And we also have the Cash App. Cash App. That means send cash. And you can do that in any amount. Any little bit helps me pay StreamYard for the $25 that they charge me every month for me to be able to bring you videos when I feel like bringing you videos. Because if I don't pay for it, then there's just a little bit of videos that they allow me to make. And that's really not going to get me anywhere on this channel with me or with you. You won't be very happy if I do that. So please, if you have any amount that you would like to donate, please Cash App me and also hit the PayPal button on the channel on the first page. The PayPal button is there. And you can donate any amount there as well. Please, guys, I really could use your help during the pandemic. And I know a lot of you are not able to help. So if you're not able to help monetarily, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. All right, there we go. I'd like to go ahead and get started with the video because I hate long videos in the beginning. Don't you? Don't you just want to skip past all that part and get to the good part? Of course you do. So, we're only human. And I watch videos too, and I hate it when it takes them 5 hours to get to the video. Like, you think I got 5 hours to sit here? I know that you need clicks and views and likes and subscribes and stuff. But we have to say it, because if we don't say it, people don't subscribe. Oh, and I'd like to take one moment, please, to thank my new subscribers for subscribing. Thank you so much. You guys got me up to 661. 660. There was a truck. 661 subs. You guys rock. Let me give you. Just wanted to give you a slight hand there. Hope that wasn't too loud in your ear if you're listening to this in earbuds. but I wanted to give you guys a straight round of applause for that. Appreciate all of the support here. And with all of that good stuff being said, let's go ahead and get right into the video, which is going to start. Looks like how far I'll be. What's my ticker? Not bad. 5 minutes here. That's not bad. All right, here we go. So we're going to be starting off. Of course, Jeffrey Macdonald is still on the stand. And I'm getting this information from what I'm reading from. And my reading is not perfect, but I do the best I can. And that's from Crime. I can talk today. CrimeArchives.net. And look for the Jeffrey Macdonald case. And we're on August 14th. If you want, for those of you who want to follow along and watch all the mistakes I make along the way. And let's see here. What else do we have? I think that's it. We can go ahead and get started. Of course, you guys already know this is Q&A. Now, I've been bringing you nothing but jury charge because we've been working on, in the jury charge playlist, we've been working on the recovery, take the "the" out, recovery attempt by air part 2. And so because we've been doing nothing but jury charge, I have to bring you Q&A. All right, this is not going to be at any particular speed, although I do have the handy dandy stopwatch. I have the handy dandy stopwatch so I can know how long I have been reading. And let's see here, no particular speed, and I won't be going too fast because I do like everyone to be, I try to put it like in the middle so like everyone can participate, and some parts might be faster than others, but I do try to make it so that like everyone can try to get a little something out of this. All right, I do my best. All right. Ready? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's right. Question, Dr. Macdonald, I have a transcript of a CBS interview of Captain Macdonald given on 11th of December, 1970. Can you tell us how this interview came about? Answer, no, I cannot. I don't remember which interview you're talking about. Question, this is a CBS interview, which was a part of a Walter Cronkite news broadcast. The person who interviewed you is Schaefer. I've forgotten if it's Dick Schaefer or Bob Schaefer. Answer, was that an interview on Fort Bragg, sir? Question, well, Schaefer states at this point here, comma, quote, we talked with Captain Macdonald, comma, now a civilian, comma, in the office of New York Congressman Alan Lowenstein, close quote. Answer, I honestly don't remember that. Being in an office in New York for an interview. There were hundreds of interviews like this during that time, sir. I honestly don't remember a CBS interview with Bob Schaefer. Question, well, I was wondering at this time when this broadcast was made, was any memorandum or account prepared and presented to Bob Schaefer or CBS for the preparation of this broadcast? Answer, on the major interviews that were done by major networks for them to verify it, each of them requested that they see Colonel Rock's report and recommendations. His report is about 100 pages of the 5-month article 32 hearing. And I showed several people that. I kept it on my person, but they looked at it for verification of statements that I was making. They didn't want to publish things that weren't true. He may have seen that, but there was no memorandum known. Question: do you recall who arranged this interview that took place in Mr. Lowenstein's office? Answer: sir, I honestly don't remember an interview in an office. It may have occurred, but I really don't remember that. Most of these interviews were done on the phone. There were a lot of interviews at Fort Bragg where they brought TV crews to the BOQ. But on December 11th, that wouldn't have been the case. Question: you don't remember being an alderman or Congressman Alan Lowenstein's office, Bob Schaefer being there, and I assume cameramen and technicians? Answer: sir, that was not an unusual occurrence at the time. Honestly. I mean, this was happening all the time. Question: I have here a Washington merry-go-round clipping that's dated December 4th, 1970. Of course, the author is Jack Anderson, and he refers to the fact that he had previously published an article on July 11th, 1970, which I, of course, have not seen. But did you turn over any information to Jack Anderson sometime prior to July 11th? Answer: if it's the column I'm remembering, I'm sure he got something. I honestly don't know what. Probably a letter. Question: well, let me read you this phrase. Answer: this is from what, sir? This is from the question December 14th column. He said, quote, we conducted our own quiet investigation into the case. We published our conclusions on July 11th that the Army had botched the investigation and might be perpetrating a grave injustice, close quote. Now, he says he conducted, quote, a quiet investigation, close quote. Tell me what you know about this. Answer: the only name that I know was Les Witten. Slayers, that's Witten, Witten. First name is Les, L-E-S. The only name I know was Les Witten, apparently his associate. And this was done mainly through my attorneys. And I honestly don't know the details of that investigation. Question: you were not present? Answer: I was not present. Question: and all you know about it is what your attorneys told you about it? Answer: I read the column. Question: but they told you they furnished certain information to Jack Anderson? Answer: they didn't specifically say that. They said there had been communication with Les Witten, I believe, is my recollection. Question: what does that mean to you? Quote, there had been communications with Les Witten, close quote. Answer: it means there had been communications with Les Witten. I don't know whether it was written, verbal. I honestly don't know that. Question: now, in the December 14th 1970 column, it says, quote, "We have seen the report prepared by Colonel Warren Rock and," quote, then he discusses the matter somewhat further, and then he says, quote, "Meanwhile, Captain Macdonald's army, Attorney Lieutenant Michael J. Malley, has requested an investigation of the Army's handling of the case," close quote. Other language that I won't quote. Did you personally have any contact with Jack Anderson or one of his employees in this matter? Answer, I don't believe it was personal. There may have been a phone call to Les Whitten, but I'm not really sure anymore. I never met any of the people. Question, how about Mike Malley? Was he dealing with Jack Anderson and his people? Answer, no. Mike Malley was in Vietnam. Question, now, I have a somewhat more lengthy transcript. It's captioned, "Transcript of Jeffrey Macdonald's appearance on Dick Cavett Show, 15th of December, 1970. Do you remember that occasion, sir? Answer, yes, I do. Question, how did that come about? Answer, I believe that was Lowenstein's bright idea to push along the congressional reinvestigation that we were asking for. Civilian type, not CID reinvestigating itself. But his feeling was that pressure should be brought to bear from any number of quarters. That was the last. This was when I finally said this thing was too much and I wasn't going to do any more. Question, did you prepare, or did some of your associates prepare a file of materials to turn over to either Dick Cavett or the people who prepared the Dick Cavett show for his use in connection with the interview that he conducted with you? Answer, I don't think it was ever turned over. I think they viewed Colonel Rock's report, which I had a copy of, which several other people had copies of, apparently, and Lieutenant Malley's charges, Mr. Kassab's charges, possibly some of the testimony taken under oath by the CID agents in the Article 32 hearing, the transcript which we had a copy of. I believe it was the same type of feeling on the part of the show that they had to view some government document, otherwise it would just be us stating feelings. Question, all right, here you're referring to I'm sure this refers to the April 6th incident, although you don't specify that date. You are referring to interrogation of you by military personnel. You say, quote, it's really an interrogation, They turn the light up in front of your face and have all these little tricks. And then they told me to go back to work, so I left, close quote, etc. Now, tell me about this business of staring into the light and the little tricks that were answered. That's all in the Article 32's transcript, sir, under oath. It's there. I'm sure you've read it. Question, you don't wish to explain it to the grand jury at this time? Answer, sure. When I was called, I wasn't called. When I went to the CID office on Monday morning, April 6th, and I walked into the room, and Mr. Grebner stated, Question, tell us how large was the room? Was it as large as this room? Answer, I don't remember it as that large. It seemed much smaller. Question, was it an old school building? Answer, it was an old building on post. It was in the CID headquarters on post. Question, how many desks were there? Question, in that room? I believe there were 2. Question, how many chairs? I have no idea. Mr. Grebner's, mine, probably a couple along the walls. Question, and where was the lamp? Answer, sir, I don't want to. Question, describe the layout of the room. Answer, sir, I don't want to make implications that aren't true. I didn't really ever. When I sat down, Mr. Grebner started. Essentially, we started to talk. We talked about several things first before allegedly he turned on his tape recorder that I wasn't aware was going. And 2 other agents came up behind me with their jackets on. They had white shirts and ties and guns on their hips. And it just seemed like, we were allegedly discussing turning over my personal property. That's what I was at the BOQ for. I mean, the CID office that morning for, allegedly. And it just seemed funny. And then he said, there are some minor discrepancies in the case that we'd like you to clear up. And I said, fine. And I said something like, I've been trying to talk to you guys for 6 weeks and nobody appears interested. And he says, oh, we're interested. And I said, quote, well, I don't understand this. Why we haven't talked, close quote. And he said, quote, but we're going to talk, close quote. So I sat down, and at some point, either Mr. Ivory or Mr. Grebner, there was some sort of desk lamp. I don't know if it was long. I don't know if it was short. Obviously reached over and turned the light up. And I remember thinking, that's really stupid. Question, what sort of light was it? Answer, I don't remember, sir. I don't remember if it was a round one or a long one, but I remember thinking it was a dumb thing to do. If you want to talk and clear things up, I don't understand this. Question, in what way did he turn the light up? Answer, I don't remember. It was just I don't know. I didn't stop and think and say, well, there's a long 6-inch light or 12-inch fluorescent lamp or a round lamp. But someone, one of the 3, reached over on the desk and adjusted something. And I realized from then on, I was annoyed because this thing was shining in my face. That's all. That's all it amounted to. Question, was it a well-lit room? Were there a lot of windows in it? Answer, I don't remember. It seemed to be probably 2 windows behind Mr. Grebner's desk or something. Question, were you facing Mr. Grebner's desk? Answer, I believe I was sort of on the side of it. He'd be sitting here and I'd be sitting to the question, where was the light located? Answer, it was somewhere on the desk, it seemed to me. Question, was it on the far side of the desk? Answer, sir, it wasn't important to me at the time. Question, well, it's become important by the fact that this reference to the light occurs so frequently in these news accounts that I read. Answer, sir, we're not here to discuss news accounts. I can testify for 3 days. We haven't talked about anything that's factual. Question, we're here to discuss misconduct on the part of the CID. Now, you say, quote, little tricks, close quote. What were you referring to? Answer, oh, the little, what's called the, quote, Mutt and Jeff, close quote, approach that I'm sure you're aware of, where someone badgers you for about an hour or two and then he leaves the room. And the other guy sort of puts his arm around you and says, I'm really a nice guy, and you can kind of lean on me, and we'll get this all squared away. It's a common interrogation technique. I just finished learning about it, as a matter of fact, that week. Question, you state on this interview, quote, I had 5 guards outside my room who had loaded 45s. Does that mean that there were 5 guards standing shoulder to shoulder outside your room, or what were you implying? Answer, in reference to when, sir? Question, I'll read it in context. Quote, my commanding officer called me in and told me he was putting me in confinement. So I had 5 guards outside my room who had loaded 45s. Answer, that's true. There was one outside my window. There was one sitting under a tree about 50 yards away in case I should apparently make a mad dash for it. There was one at each end of the BOQ, and there was one right outside my door. That's exactly what happened. Question, and how long did these continue? Answer, a couple of days. Question, and then it was modified? Answer, yes. They had one sitting outside my door, although I hadn't been charged at that point. The only thing that had happened officially was I was placed under house arrest, and the provost marshal announced I was a suspect. That's the only thing that had happened. That's why it was unusual. There were 5 guards around me. Later, they said that it was for my benefit. Question, now you state here that the CID man, a technician, I assume, took some photographs and fingerprints. Let me read the whole paragraph. Quote, he then took a picture of each one, close quote, referring to the fingerprints. Quote, and went and developed them, and he came back and all of his film was bad. So he had no photographs of any of the fingerprints. However, before he left, he had covered all the fingerprints with tape. And when he came back to photograph them, and he took the tape off, he destroyed 50 fingerprints, close quote. Now, is that an accurate statement, sir? Answer, that may have been what I said. The numbers are apparently not accurate. My lawyers have since informed me. The numbers were not accurate. They were a lot of fingerprints destroyed. I don't to this day know how many. Apparently, the lab technician, if you read his testimony under oath in the Article 32, he doesn't know how many. Question, was all the film destroyed? Answer, no. There were some fingerprints that came out. Question, do you know how much film was destroyed? Answer, I have no idea. We asked him why the film was destroyed, and he said maybe a truck went by and the rumbling of the ground affected the film. Question, when you said then that 50 fingerprints were destroyed, you say now that was not accurate? Answer, that was a common statement at that time, sir. That figure was being used a lot. It was thrown around by us, obviously, but I think it was also made under oath by one of the 3 investigators, Shaw, Ivory, or Grebner, in the transcripts that were taken down by a court reporter under oath to my lawyers. I'm not sure of that, but it was just kind of a common thing and talking about it. Everyone said, quote, Christ, there's so many fingerprints destroyed, close quote. And it ended up at the Article 32 that none of us, at least on rereading it. I can't figure out how many fingerprints have been destroyed. Question, you say a veteran of 7 years in the Criminal Investigation Division got on the stand and said under oath that he wasn't aware that the FBI checks fingerprints. Answer, that's correct. Question, was that in fact his statement? Answer, that's correct. Robert Shaw, 7 years in the CID, stated under oath he wasn't aware that the FBI checked fingerprints. I'll be glad to give you a copy of that, but I'm sure you haven't. Question, you say further, quote, there was an unidentified person in the house when the police got there, close quote. Was that correct? Answer, that is correct. Or at least this is testimony given under oath by MPs on the scene. That's essentially what that statement means. The testimony was that there was an unidentified male with long hair and dungarees who was in the living room when the MPs were in the living room. And he walked out between the MPs, or words to that effect. They asked them who he was. They didn't know. They asked them what he was doing there. They didn't know. What was his name? They didn't know. Did they stop him at the door? They didn't. Question, who was the source of that information, sir? Answer, what information? Question, about the unidentified person. Answer, that was testimony given in the Article 32 hearing, sir. Question, by whom? Answer, by the MPs. I don't know which one. Question, was that by Mr. Mica? Answer, he was probably one of them. Yes, I think he was one of them. Mr. Mica was the one who was threatened by his commanding officer to recant his testimony, or they would write a letter to Long Island and he would lose the police job he was applying for. Question, now, once again, you say with regard to the proceedings, quote, I've watched these men and I've seen them testify and I've seen perjury, close quote. Tell us about the perjury, specifically where, with respect to what matters, when. Did any person knowingly, under oath, make a false statement? Answer, I have 3 of them that come to mind immediately. One is a CID agent testifying under oath that he didn't know the FBI checked fingerprints. That is so incredulous, it boggles the mind. That's one statement. The second statement encompasses, question, can you name this individual? Answer, Robert Shaw. Question, Robert Shaw? Answer, CID agent Robert Shaw. Question, all right. Answer, one of the 3 investigators in the case who also stated under oath that he was personally interviewed 6 or 7 people. Chief investigator in the case interviewed 6 people. That has to be perjury, sir. Question, what's his name, sir? Answer, Robert Shaw. Question, that's again Robert Shaw? Answer, that's right. Question, now give me another incident. Answer, Mr. Ivory's long, lengthy, many pages of testimony, which you can supply to these people, reference to his interviews with Helena Stokely. Question, now, when was his testimony given? And when was the interview given? Answer, I'm sorry. What, sir? Question, when was the testimony given under oath with respect to this matter? Was it at the time of the Article 32 hearing? Answer, yes. This is the Article 32 testimony. Specialist William Ivory, Question, and essentially, what was the perjury that he committed at that time? Answer, it just takes a minute, if I may. Question, sure. Answer, it had come to our attention, and I repeat what I said another time, through absolute sheer circumstance, that there was this potential witness to the crime, Helena Stokely, apparently the daughter of a retired lieutenant colonel who was heavy in the drugs and who apparently the CID and the police were using as a drug informant. We found that out later. Mr. Ivory, I'd like to refer to the testimony, but the testimony is so unbelievable. It is so obviously perjured testimony that my attorney got up in that courtroom and said he has done 7,000 cases, 500 homicides, and he's never heard testimony like Mr. Ivory's ever. He represented that to the court. Question, with what respect did Mr. Ivory lie? Answer, Mr. Ivory was instructed by the prosecutors after we found the witness to investigate the witness. He then went to investigate the witness. He achieved the investigation by telling the Fayetteville police to pick her up. They picked her up. He interviewed her at the police station, apparently. If you can make head or tails of his testimony, apparently he interviewed her twice. He was asked, quote, does she have an alibi, close quote. And he said, quote, yes, close quote. And you say, quote, what was the alibi, close quote. She was stoned on marijuana, close quote. Prior testimony had already been on the record that she had said to several people that she was stoned on LSD and mescaline. So we said, since Mr. Ivory had investigated her at the prosecutor's request, Colonel Rock's request, and this prior testimony was on the record, we said, quote, were you aware that she has made statements to the effect that she was stoned on mescaline and LSD? Close quote. He said, no, he wasn't. He said, quote, did she tell you where she lived? Close quote. Quote, yes, she did, close quote. And did she give you an address? Quote, yes, she did, close quote. Quote, did she discuss, dash, did you discuss, dash, close quote. This is paraphrasing words. I'm paraphrasing now. Did you discuss drugs with her? And the answer was in the affirmative. And what was her reply? She knew nothing about it except for this episode with marijuana. What were you doing the night of February 16th, 17th? I was driving around in a car. Whose car? I don't know. Mr. Segal says, quote, do you accept that? Close quote. And he said, quote, yes, close quote. Mr. Segal said, quote, do you think she was being frank, open, and honest? Close quote. Mr. Ivory said, quote, yes, close quote. Mr. Segal said, quote, do you mean to tell me you were driving around in a car? You do not remember where you were because of the effects of marijuana, and you felt that that was a frank, open, and honest answer, close quote. Quote, yes, I did, close quote. What was the name of the individual who owned the car? I don't know. What was his last name? I don't know. What was his first name? I think Bruce. Who were the people that lived in the house with you? I don't know. How many people lived in the house with you? I don't know. What were their names? I don't know. Have you lived with them for a period of weeks or months? Yes, I do. This went on for pages and pages, at the end of which we found out, at the end of his testimony, we found out that he knows she is a drug informant. He has already testified that she didn't know anything about drugs. And I put to you, sir, that is perjury. Question. All right, we'll look into the testimony. Mr. Warhide, Mr. Foreman, I see it's getting 11:45 on my clock. Answer. I have another episode of perjury. Question. Yes. Answer. And we'll stop right there, because this answer goes on for quite a long time. And I think I've given you enough today, because my stopwatch, it says 33, but that can't be right, because it's 41. It was 10 minutes in, not quite 10 minutes in when I started. So I think it's been about 30 minutes. And I think that's great practice. Remember, guys, you can break this up for some of you, it may be too much to do the endurance for 30 minutes. I'm trying to build you up to that, because most depositions are going to be at least 30 minutes. I mean, why schedule a deposition? It's only going to be 50. You only got 2 questions to ask. So they wouldn't do that. So you got to build up your endurance here, and that's what I'm trying to help you with. All right, Q&A, back and forth. We had some Provost. Whenever you hear me say the Provost, that's not capitalized. That's P-O-V-O-S-T, Marshall. Let me write something down here. Question, yes. So we stopped that. Because if I don't write this down, I'll never. We stopped at question, yes. And then we'll need to begin 18 on the answer, Mr. Grebner. Perjured himself. Okay, that's where we are with number 17. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You guys already know how the algorithm works. Thank you so much for joining me. And looking forward to number 18 coming up pretty soon, because we are on, actually, we're on day August 14th. And if I a little scroll down the page, we really don't have much left. It's not even going to be a full. Wow, we are really almost done with August 14th. And so if we're almost done, I'm going to go back here. I almost could have finished this today if I didn't want to wear you guys completely out. But here, that would be, I keep saying the 14th, but I think that might be the 13th. Because, yes, that is. So we're on August 13th, which will be done with August 13th, next video, and the next, and then we'll be going into August 14th. So I better put that in the comments to make sure that says August 14th. I mean 13th. This is August 13th. Here. Let me see how much testimony. We've got August 14th with him still on the stand. Let me go back. The 15th, the 16th. And that's going to be it. That's going to be it for his testimony. 14th, the 15th, August 14th, August 15th, August 16th. He's off the stand, guys. So please, if you have not been keeping up with this, catch up. Now would be a great time to catch up. Go to the playlist on the channel, Center Stenography and Shorthand Dictations, and go to the Q&A playlist, and you'll see from 1, including this one, from 1 to 18. So that way you can catch up, because once we're done with him, once we get him off the stand on August 10th, 16th, there's going to be testimony from William Ivory, which we've heard a lot about, Robert Shaw, which we've heard a lot about, Paul Connolly, William Boulware, Pamela McCallan, Michael Newman, Mildred Kassab, Alfred Kassab. Oh, and we've got some MDs coming up. So that means we're going to have some medical dictation. And we're just going to, some psychologists, some psychiatrists. Yes, it's going to get on and popping. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, what we're doing here. And what I'm trying to do here is bring you different dictation. And I think that this does allow me to do that. Please hit the bell for notifications. And I'll see you at the next video. Bye.